Paul just mentioned that the navigational dredging for the boats and stuff like that, that they are putting PCBs in it. You are going to put PCBs in it.
In what?
In what?
And the CAD cells for the navigational dredging.
I will state that the sediment in New Bedford Harbor, irregardless if it's EPA or navigation dredging, has PCBs in it. That's right. That's why it's unsuitable for ocean disposal. It's contaminated with not just PCBs but other things.
My next question is, the Coalition of Buzzards Bay is doing they got a tag rag to do an assessment to find out if this is feasible. Now you're going ahead and doing this. Now if this professor, whoever he is, says this is not feasible, then what?
The Coalition.
Some confusion here. The tag grant is looking at EPA's CAD, so what we're talking about here is the navigational CAD. So
Right, but.
Well, it's still in the harbor.
Right.
EPA has jurisdiction.
There's different levels of contamination in each CAD cell.
No, my point is, as a member of HAND and a community, I speak for some of the citizens in this community. We don't want any PCBs in any CAD cells.
Okay, but just to, I understand that, I just want to clear the air that what goes into the navigational CAD cell is 50 or below. What the Superfund CAD cell is above 50. So that's, those are the two distinctions. I hear your point.
Listen what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Anything over 5 parts per million is harmful to humans.
Is-
It's harmful to humans.
It's limits.
Actually, it's
Probably
less
less
than,
than
it's
that.
less
Probably
than
more like
5.
2
It's
parts.
2 parts per million. And you're going to put 50 in a CAD cell,
Humans?
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
right? This is what I'm saying. I don't know whose hands holding who, but the way I understand it, these guys are putting something in their CAD cells, right? EPA is going to have their own separate CAD cells. We don't want any CAD cells with PCBs in it. That's my stand.
Can I respond? As I mentioned, the state terminal dredging was the first dredging probably done in 30, 40 years of any substance in New Bedford Harbor. And the reason is because of contamination. Karen had raised this as part of the issue. She emailed me, and I thought about it a bit. The reason that the state thought it might be an acceptable alternative to do in-place disposal is a couple. One is the material, even if you could pull it out and bring it to a hazardous waste facility, would not be accepted by a hazardous waste facility because it's not hazardous. Secondly, you can't put dredged material that still has water in it in a landfill. 2 reasons. One, it's got water in it, and the other one, it's got salt in it. So there is really a bind that this material that's contaminated has a home for in terms of proper disposal. So the state...
I want to say something. Listen. I know the process. I know the process. But what I'm saying is, EPA has one method of cleaning this up, right? And you guys, because the business community wants to rush this because they need that channel dredged, they're going to rush this another way. What I'm saying is, we have a process of getting rid of the PCBs where they dewater it and everything else. Okay. Now they want to put. I'm not against big business coming to New Bedford Harbor. I want jobs here. I want all that, but I don't want no PCBs in any part of that harbor again.
It's not.
There's two different processes going on.
You let me finish.
Right? No, let me finish.
Okay.
There's two processes going on right now, right? EPA's and your people. The thing is, you're doing two different things, but it's still the same thing. You're putting the PCBs back in the water no matter what. They're doing it one way, and then you're going to do it your way. And what their way is right. Your way is no, that's not right. Because you're the state, you have jurisdiction, you can do whatever you want. No, that's not right. We don't want PCBs, period, in the harbor, period.
But I think there'd be a lot less resistance on the navigational dredging if there wasn't CAD cells for the giant CAD cell for the EPA dredging. Part of the reason why I'm here, I can't speak for them, is because they use it as an argument. Because I don't mind a fairly negligible, I don't think any of it's negligible, but I think what you need to do to build a channel is a lot less contamination, particularly since you're using low amounts of PCBs, and may be more acceptable to deal with, because if there's a problem, it's still going to be easy to deal with because it's only a relatively small amount. They want to take 15,000 pounds of PCBs and bury it, which was on track to be removed to a toxic facility. And we wanted to go to a toxic facility, which is in a much better location for containing that kind of thing. It's not amongst maritime stuff. We don't have lobsters going back and forth. We don't have winter flounder going in and out, getting caught offshore. It's on 10 feet of clay minimally. It's accessible by conventional equipment, heavy equipment, if there's a problem. It's in a double layer, it's in a cell inside of a cell. So if something leaks, they can fix it. Something happens here, there's no way to fix it without.
That material that's going into the CAD cell now is slated for a confined disposal facility, a landfill along the shoreline. That's where
Right.
that material is gonna go.
But again, what I just said was, you'd get a lot less resistance on the navigational for me if you weren't going to bury, 300,000 cubic yards, 15,000 pounds of pure PCBs in the EPA.
Just again, to make the point, this is a slide I put together about the relative volumes and concentrations. As we proceeded through the project, through these many years, we started with the pilot study in the late 80s, and all during the period from the pilot study through the hotspot remedy, which was the excavation of material very close to Aerovox, we dredged about 40,000 cubic yards. The amount of pounds of PCBs removed at a minimum around 134. That is probably an extremely low estimate. That's based on a 1989 estimate of what was in the hotspot alone. In reality, this number probably, and I'm going to try to refine it, is probably closer to 200,000 or maybe. But that's a low end estimate. The annual dredging program was started in 2004. So far, we've dredged about 210,000 yards, which is 5 times more. And we've removed a smaller volume of total PCBs. We're taking less contaminated areas, larger amounts of sediment, with less PCBs in each cubic yard. The state enhanced remedy that the state is implementing, and all this material has been disposed of in CAD cells already, right outside the window here. They've collected about 167,000 cubic yards, so the same order of magnitude. But you can see there's only 9,000 cubic yards of PCBs in that area. Pounds, excuse me, pounds.
2.5 tons.
So again, our future CAD cells, again, ramping up, will be about an estimated volume of about 300,000 cubic yards, and we're estimating a similar amount of PCBs to be in this volume that's almost twice as high. So as we are advancing further south, we're getting to bigger volumes and smaller amounts of pounds per volume disposed.
Currently, how many navigational CAD cells have 50 or above PCBs in them, and where are they?
Two.
Two, where are they and how much? of
CAD cell
PCBs?
1 and CAD cell 2.
And how much PCBs?
When you say how much, you
50,
mean the concentration?
100 parts per million, what's in the navigational CAD cell in the way of PCBs?
There was, I believe, a spot that was above 50 when we dredged in Fairhaven, and I believe in the...
Above 50, but how much, Chet?
I'm sorry?
How much? You say it's over 50? It was 80 parts per million of PCBs?
That's correct.
That's interesting, I've never heard that before.
And yeah, what was the public process? And was there any problem?
It wasn't.
That was a different process, it's not what we're talking about here. I gotta try to keep us, we are a half hour over, actually, this room has a different program in it at 1 o'clock, so we are running out of time.
So there wasn't.
So what I'd like to do is, can we get back to you guys in a week on that question, let Frank think a little bit more about the site locations that were identified? Solve that out.
Because I think we'd be glad to engage them.
I think this is a very appropriate point for this group to have input on while we're doing leaves. This is
Well,
a
beyond just
perfect
saying,
point where we
I like
go in
east
and
and you like
back.
west.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, we could do better than that.